And we are live. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Monday night. And we know what Monday night is. That is the Winds of Winter prediction series with what we call it is a dream of, crap, I screwed that up. No, a dream of streams. That's it. Yes, I'll get it one of these days. Welcome, everybody. We have some people in the chat, some new folks. I saw you, Kenny Jones. Thank you for subbing on Friday Night Tights. I appreciate that. As a lot of you know, I've gained about 400 subs in the last couple days, thanks to our good friend Gary. Gary's a friend of the channel and my brother in recovery, so he helped me out. So now we just need to work on watch hours. So we are going to go through one of the best, I think the best sample chapter we've gotten from Winds of Winter tonight. We are going to get, it's the Forsaken chapter. It's Arion Greyjoy, but it's really about the Crow's Eyes. So with me tonight, as always, Jayne Theory. How are you, Jayne?
Oh, I have my mic off.
Yeah, you did.
Hey guys, doing great. How are you?
She's one of the silent sisters.
Yes, silent sisters. We are doing good tonight. We are good. And below, first of his name, one of the best theory guys in the Game of Thrones, I'm starting to realize. It is Stig Kenobi.
Yeah. Sorry.
Do you have
Lord
your thing?
Yes. Lord of Dragonstone, Master of Ships, King of Westeros, Lord of Storms and King of the Andals, the Rhoynar and the First Men, Lord of the Seven Kingdoms, Protector of the Realm. All who deny that are my foes. Let no man claim ignorance as a defense. They'll bend the knee or I'll destroy them. Isn't that right, Sedavos?
He's the King of the North. All right, there we go.
He says it with such authority.
He does. It's scary at times. It's scary.
Yeah.
So for everybody,
I can do authority.
Yeah, you do. You own it. You own authority.
Yeah, just tense up the voice a bit and be completely serious.
There you go. So for everybody out there, if you're new to this channel, Saturday nights is my free-for-all stream. Monday and Wednesday nights are more about Song of Ice and Fire. I'm going to get back into doing videos more probably of, the news of our fandom. That's Star Wars, Game of Thrones, Star Trek, anything sci-fi and fantasy. I'll probably get back doing that. But these two streams, Monday and Wednesday night, saved my sanity a few months back. And it seems like a lot of people are starting to enjoy it. So that's why we're going to keep doing it. And we have fun doing it, right? Mm-hmm. So let's keep doing it.
There was UFOs on Saturday.
Yeah. Well, we talked UFOs, Canadian research about sex through a hole during Corona.
Very bizarre.
Yeah, that was bizarre. What else did we talk about on I actually didn't talk about much because my computer freezed up and I was just producing my own show. So that's great. I got to work on that. Yeah, I got to work on it. What are you going to do? Starting soon, I'm going to actually just put the internet straight through that one freaking USB port I have, and I'll just use earbuds or something for my mic. Yeah, until I get enough funding to buy a new computer setup. And if you'd like to support with a Super Scott, support the channel by donating to my PayPal. Many people have. Rosa, good friend of the channel, has. Thomas Gilkey. Who else? A new gentleman that I'm blanking on your name right now. I want to say it was Adam, but I'm sorry if I'm forgetting. But if you're in the chat, please put it there. Donated $25 the other night. So I was super impressed and thankful for that. So hopefully we'll grow and keep going. And hopefully soon enough, I'll actually be monetized once the watch hours get there.
Yeah. You should talk to the Iron Bank, said Davos.
I'm a little scared about that. I can't do them. I got to practice. The Iron Bank. You don't want to mess with the Iron Bank. Let's think about that. I mean, if you don't like Cersei, what she's doing is screwing the Iron Bank. So what do? They go fund somebody else.
Yep.
Or everybody else. I'm starting to think George has based them on the Rothschilds of history. Known people have conspiracies of them funding different sides of both wars or one war, both sides, and throughout history being kind of the the puppet masters of everything. And I'm starting to think that's who he made the Iron Bank out to be. I don't know. Just an idea I had.
Interesting theory.
Yeah.
There's no credit cards in Westeros, the devils.
No, neither there should be. So let's see who's in the chat. We got our good buddy, Brutal Morning Wood, with a lot of things he had to do. Hardest working man, no biz. In no biz. We got myself saying hi. We got Michael Jolin, 15 minutes. Goody. Always here supporting the channel. So thank you. And talking about Kenny Jones before. Hey, Sporky News Podcast, sub to you on Friday Night Tights, showing my support, brother. Can't wait. Thank you, sir. Thank you. I hope we don't fail you. We'll just keep getting better. That's all I can say. Our good brother, the fourth wave brother right here, Bear Nerd Fun, who's been doing music lately. If you like trippy psychedelic music, check out Bear Nerd Fun's channel. Hail stopping by before I start recording. Next thing I know, it's 8 hours later. You got this. Thank you, buddy. Who else do we have already before we start? One of the best moderators in the game, also has a Twitter, great artist, budding YouTuber, McKinney90. How are you doing, my friend? Make sure you put your information up there, McKinney, so they can support your art and your YouTube and your Twitter and all that good stuff. And I called her out before. Rosa, how are you? Hey, guys. And, Smooth Jams, California. First chapter of Winds of Winter. Great John Umber returns from his cell, beaten and bruised, but not out. Having just fought his way through a dozen Bolton men, he yells, "Bring me Stannis." I would like to see that. I pray Great John's back in this thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm worried they're not going to free him. Like, he's going to have to be freed. But that's a great idea, having him free himself, break out of the Bolton hold.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give him to the Red Woman, said Davos.
Do you think he's still is he still at the Twins?
I don't know.
I mean, he was taken at the Red Wedding. I wonder where they threw him.
Well,
we just talked about that.
That has nothing to do with Stannis. Stannis didn't do it.
Well, I think he's saying, "Bring me Stannis." Like, maybe like we'll fight for you, but you know how Great John Umber yells.
That would be cool. Great John Umber teaming up with Stannis.
Well, we know that. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Just
that's the whole idea.
Unleashing him on Winterfell.
Yes. I mean, we have the two Umber factions of their house inside of Winterfell and one with Stannis. I believe they're working towards the Stannis victory. Both those factions really working for the Northern conspiracy, but
I really hope that's real.
I do too.
Well, so Stannis wants to give them the North.
Yeah.
So he's a perfect ally.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And he's sane. I mean, between the two of them.
And he might be a Azor Ahai. You never know.
Yeah.
Keek 44 got the eyes out. I love it. And I don't think we have anybody else that I see in the chat. So, the great. Whoa, I lost him. Hold on. Where is he? Thomas, where did you go? I jumped so far ahead. Yeah, I'm not as professional as our good friend Gary, but I got it. There we go. Hail panel. Thomas Gilkey, thank you for your super chat or super Scott to my PayPal account. I appreciate that this week. The memes of destruction. Hey guys, always checks out my videos. I appreciate that, man. Another monster. Hello, damn you. That's some serious growth last week. That's what she said. I find those funny. I'm sorry. That was good. Yeah, it was serious growth. And that was from a really good man. I mean, Gary didn't have to do that. And I really appreciate it. I mean, 400 subs was like, boom. It literally happened in 11 minutes. I was shocked.
That was amazing.
Fewer.
You think? No, I think it's actually more. It's almost 500 now. Look at Bravos Law. They are Jewish. Bravos. Yeah, in a way, you might be right. They were slaves. They had an exodus and they escaped their bank. I mean, there is a point to that. I still think they follow more of a Rothschild Now, the Rothschilds may have been Jewish when they started.
Oh, that's a
Hey,
good point.
Here's
know?
a theory, though.
What's that?
The Jews
Yes.
live on the West Bank.
And so what you're saying is Bravos.
No, they're the bank because
Yeah,
they live on the West
but Bravos
Bank in
is
Europe.
on the west coast of Essos.
Huh?
If you think about it, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
they're on the West Bank.
Yeah, they are. And they are the bank. That is a good, you know what? We might have
That's
to look
also
into that.
that would be stereotypical too.
Well, it would. And I know I almost feel horrible saying it, but George looks at history. He
Mhm,
looks at all forms of history, conspiracies, mythology,
mhm.
things that have happened that aren't always the prettiest part of history.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he talks slavery. He talks. I mean, you see people selling other humans into slavery in this
Mhm.
story, you know, and not thinking it's a bad thing,
Right.
you know, and some of our right now heroes are trying to stop it. You know, will they be our heroes through the whole story? I don't know, but he does point out everything that we have had going on. But he actually, oh, I like that. Next to 1K, Jayne Theory, sub 2. Another monster
Ooh,
likes you to know.
I hope so.
Oh, we heard you, sir. God, language, sir.
Oh.
Shit.
Stop talking to Jane like that. She's not a bitch.
Yeah. Wow. All right, so here we go. Bravos was founded by escaped slaves from a former empire, Egypt, and a
Okay.
religious figure prophesied them promised land, Israel.
It fits.
It really does.
Mhm.
Now they are stereotyped as greedy bankers.
It
I mean, if
does.
that's the route you're going, it almost is. I mean,
Yeah.
you have a point there. You have a point there. It's the stereotype. And you know what? The funny thing is, it's the stereotype of the greedy banker, but I believe they have something. It could either be nefarious or honorable beneath that cover of the stereotype, the
Or
Iron
it,
Bank.
it could be completely neutral.
Yeah, that's what I think.
I don't know, because I feel like they work with the faceless men. So if they're neutral, they're not going to be having the faceless men take care of certain things.
But aren't the faceless men neutral too? I mean, if
They
you have the
say
money.
they are. They say they are. I don't know. They judge how much you have to pay, so they could always put it out of reach of somebody if they don't want that person. I don't know. You have a point there, but I just feel like there's ulterior motives with both those groups.
I
don't know, but that's something we might have to look into in a future video. The whole connection of Bravos, the Sea Lord, all that stuff. I'd like to know. Please like and share the stream. That's the only way we get noticed.
Yep.
We have 16 people here, so hopefully you guys are sharing the stream, liking the stream, and thank you. So let's get into this. Tonight we are going to be talking about the Forsaken chapter. Stig, you said you haven't read it, correct?
Yeah, I think we talked about it on a previous Monday, but I don't think we. Did you read it? I think you might have read it. I don't know.
It's never been read.
We
just
haven't
talked about some of the scenes.
Right. We talked about scenes of it. We've broken down some of it, but we haven't read it really there and went into this, which I think is one of the best chapters that George has written. And I want to say this version of this chapter wasn't a George issued chapter. I want to say this is from people hearing it from the crowd, but I might be wrong on which chapter that is. He might have read this and people transcribed it, but I don't remember.
I think this is one he read.
Okay, this was the one he read. I think so too. Dolified, how are you, sir?
Hey, Dolified.
Thank you for stopping in. All right, so let's see what we got here. Let us share this, and I just had it again. So this is the Forsaken chapter. I'm going to try to bring it up a little bit more so you guys can see it, hopefully. Zoom one more time. Okay. So let's start this chapter off. And we'll go a little bit. I'll stop. We'll talk.
Okay.
It was always midnight in the belly of the beast. The mutes had robbed him of his robes, his shoes, and his breechcloth. Breechcloth,
Underwear.
his undies. He wore hair. He wore hair in chains and scabs. Salt water sloshed about his legs whenever the tide came in, rising as high as his genitals, only to ebb again when the tide receded. His feet had grown huge and soft and puffy, shapeless things as big as hams. He knew that he was in some dungeon, but not where or for how long. There had been another dungeon before this one. In between, there had been the ship, the signs. The night they moved him, he had seen the moon floating on a black wine sea with a leering face that reminded him of Euron. Rats moved in the darkness, swimming through the water. They would bite him as he slept until he woke and drove them off with shouts and thrashings. Euron's beard and scalp crawled with lice and fleas and worms. He could feel them moving through his hair, and the bites itched him intolerably. His chains were so short that he could not reach to scratch. The shackles that bound him to the wall were old and rusted, and his fetters had cut into his wrists. When the tide rushed in to kiss him, the salt got into the wounds and made him gasp. So, Euron Greyjoy, a lot of pain right now, right? I mean, that just sounds horrific to me.
That's torture.
That's torture, and we haven't even gotten into it, but he's been around long enough that there's worms, fleas, lice just gnawing at his brain. And also that his legs have gotten so swollen from water coming in, water receding, water coming in, water receding. Ow. It's robotic. Was that robotic?
When you were reading it, some parts.
Why does that always happen when I read?
I don't know.
I don't know, guys. For some reason, whenever I read, my voice goes robotic. I could be using my phone and the voice goes robotic. So I apologize. Hopefully, you can always support by donating to get me better internet. So
it's because you're really a cyborg.
I am a cyborg. That is true.
Mhm.
That is true. I'm glad I got all these new subs before I got all these things fixed up. So yeah, I hope I don't drive you all away. I find the way George gives you visuals while he's writing. Like I could visually see the pain this man is in right now. What do you think, Stig, hearing it for the first time?
I'm gonna be honest. As you started reading, I went to the kitchen to put food in the oven.
Oh, okay. Well, at least you're honest. I appreciate the honesty. I'm going to try to read it from my phone, guys. So it sounds actually better. I might have to find it. That was awesome. So just give me 1 second. Why don't you explain to him what just happened? All right, hold on.
Well, I mean, I find it's interesting how he's being tortured. You know, Euron is using the very thing that they view as their sort of spiritual place, salt water. That's
Right.
coming in and out of the ship that he's in the bottom of to essentially destroy him psychologically because he's in the dark too. So you have all
Basically,
these.
he's being salted.
He's being
Sorry.
assaulted.
Cornball. I love it. That was good.
Yes, he's being assaulted. But it's happening. Just imagine being in that situation where you're in the dark, you're chained to the wall, and you have all the bugs and all the crawly things. And we also hear there are like rats and stuff.
Yep.
And then these waves of salt water coming up to your waist. And this is every single night. I mean, that's enough to drive you crazy if you weren't already.
Right.
And he's doing it on purpose, which we'll see a little bit,
And you'd
Right,
be
a little later.
really, really cold.
Yeah.
Oof. I couldn't imagine that.
And this is his brother.
Right. I mean, right there, what the hell is this guy doing? Like,
this is Euron.
And he's also a religious man.
Yes, he's a priest.
Right.
He's like they're the person who they should be listening to, looking up to, respecting. But it seems like Euron has just collected him the way he's collected all these other religious figures on the ship.
So this tells you what? That he's willing to do anything. I mean, right off the rip, now you see that his brother, he's willing to do anything, no matter who it is.
He does not care. He's disconnected from his people. He's disconnected from his faith. And he's disconnected from his family.
Right. That's crazy. All right, let's read on.
To what aim, though?
To what aim? That's the question.
And will this happen to Bran?
Ooh, how do you mean?
Because it looks like Euron is working with, the Lord of Light or whatever it is, right?
Yep.
So Bran is just being fed Jojen.
Yeah.
And a mixture of stuff, and I'm thinking that's gonna mess him up, which would fit with my Ragnarok theory, because Bran, I believe, is the Fenris wolf.
Right. And as we read on, darkness means something to George R.R. Martin when in this world. Darkness always brings something.
And you
go ahead.
You mentioned Bran being fed that paste. It's interesting you mentioned that because we see Euron do the same thing to Euron here. He gives him what was it called?
It's on
the Shade of the Evening, and it has the same properties.
Right. Well, you know what? Well, let's read on because we're getting close to that actually. Tell me if I go robotic because I'm going to freak out if I do because I'm not even using this thing.
Okay.
All right. So I'm just kidding. When he slept, the darkness would rise up and swallow him. And then the dreams would come and Uri and the scream of a rusted hinge. Okay. So when we find out what that rusted hinge is, I'll just keep going until we read that part. But just remember that, people in the chat, rusted hinge.
It's hinge worthy.
I love your puns. The only light in his wet world came from the lantern that the visitor brought with them. And it came so seldom that it began to hurt his eyes. A nameless sour face man brought his food, salt beef as hard as wooden shingles, bread crawling with weevils, slimy, stinky fish. Aaron gobbled it down and hoped for more, though oft as not, he retched the meal up after. The man who brought the food was dark, dour, mute. His tongue was gone, Aaron did not doubt. That was Euron's way. The light would leave when the mute did, and once again his world would become a damp darkness smelling of grime, mold, and feces. Sometimes Euron came himself. Aaron would wake from sleep to find his brother standing over him, lantern in hand. Once aboard the Silence, he hung the lantern from a post and poured them cups of wine. "Drink with me, brother," he said. That night he wore a shirt of iron scales and a cloak of blood-red silk. His eye patch was red leather, his lips blue. "Why am I here?" Aaron croaked at him. His lips were crusty with scabs, his voice hard. "Where are we sailing?" "South, for conquest, plunder, dragons, madness. My place is on the Isles. Your place is where I want you. I am your king. What do you want from me? What can you offer me that I have not had before?" Euron smiled. "I left the islands in the hands of old Eric Ironmaker and sealed his loyalty with the hand of our sweet Asha. I would not have you preaching against his rule, so I took you with us. Release me. The gods command it. Drink with me. Your king commands it." Euron grabbed a handful of the priest's tangled black hair, pulled his head back, and lifted the wine cup to his lips. But what flowed into his mouth was not wine. It was thick and viscous, with the taste that seemed to change with every swallow. Now bitter, now sour, now sweet. When Aaron tried to spit it out, his brother tightened his grip and forced more down his throat. So right there, it was thick. It was viscous,
Yeah.
but when you ate it, it was bitter, sour, then sweet. Now, what happens when Bran takes the paste? It's a disgusting taste first, and then it becomes less disgusting, and then it becomes something he desires. Flavors that remind him of happiness. So we see now that, I mean, his brother is willing to do anything to him, and he's about to have a good time, I guess. He is talking.
And
Go ahead.
viscous is kind of like it's sticky and in between solid and liquid, which is what that paste they fed Bran is like too, because it basically is paste. It's between solid and liquid.
Right.
And when I first read that, I was thinking blood initially, but then they talked about the taste changing,
like congealed blood.
Yeah.
You know, it looks like red wine. It's a thick. Yeah, no, I didn't even think of that, because I knew him to be a drinker of this, the shade of the evening. So I just assumed right away he's going to make him trip balls. That's what it is, you know?
And and it's also interesting how he responds to the questions. Like, you know, Euron is just trying to figure out, what are you doing? Like, why are you doing this? And he sort of goes in circles, not quite answering the question. But then he gives him this very superficial one of like, I just don't, want you on the island railing against my political pawn.
Right.
And who believes that?
Not at all. Not at all.
That's not it.
And he's also, when he says, what do you want from me? What haven't I already had from you? Like
that part.
With that smile. Now remember that, people. What have I already had? And remember the rusted hinge. God. I mean, he is torturing his brother. He's using psychological torture.
Oh yeah. That's twisted.
Just sick. It's twisted. It really is twisted. And when he's like, release me, in the name of your God, drink with me in the name of your king. Like he is his king, which is the nuttiest part.
Right.
This is how a king acts. I don't know.
And he's putting this concept of king above godhood as well in this conversation.
Now, Stig, did you already talk about the mead that you put in our chat?
Yeah, in the Ragnarok stuff. Yes, I did.
Right. Can you bring it up again though? When it comes to Jojen Pace and now Shade of the Evening.
Yeah, there's in Norse mythology, there's an old god called Kvasir, which was the name of a search engine too back in the day, right? And he was, the most intelligent fellow walking around Asgard and stuff like that, and but he was frail, but he was wise beyond his years. Some dwarves captured him, gutted him, and made something called the mead of poetry from his blood that would make others as wise as this guy. Notice how that looks a lot like Jojen?
Yes.
Because they even say that Jojen is called little grandfather, right?
Right.
Because he's wise beyond his years, so that fits too. Mead of poetry is also very much tied to Odin, who was also called a mad king in some of the myths, and he dies before Ragnarok, which happened to the Mad King, but he then returns during Ragnarok. And mead of poetry is very much tied to Odin, as well as our crows and stuff like that. So, and having one eye. Right. So I believe Euron is basically Odin returned, and he's just as insane as the Mad King.
Well, was Odin though as sadistic as Euron?
Oh, good question.
Well, here's the thing: how many times do you see George do a quote in the books saying the gods are cruel?
Yeah.
So everyone who's based on a god is actually doing cruelty in the books. Davos never does it, and he's not based on one of the gods. Jaime is,
Right.
and all the others, but I don't
You
know.
know,
It's
man, I didn't think about that. I never thought about that. Like, he does remark about how cruel the gods are all the time.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
with your theory, that works out perfectly because the gods of, Norse mythology were gods that walked among men, were flawed like men. So why not Jaime? Why not Ned? Why not Bran? Like they're gods in human form.
Yeah, the storks are not based on any of the Norse gods. They
Mhm.
don't do cruelty. They're based on the wolves of the mythology.
Mm.
Jaime and Cersei are based on a couple of the gods. Even Stannis.
Yeah,
I like
it's true.
Tina's comment.
I do too. What do you think about that? Couldn't the shade of the evening, brewed as a tea like nightshade, be mixed with weirwood sap to make a consistency like paste?
Yes. Or drawing blood as well, I suppose.
Well, we all say, kind of funny she put that up there in a way because we all think it's Jojen's blood, right? But why?
Right.
Who's to say they didn't mix some of that reddish black shade of the evening into the weirwood paste, and that's that red leafed blood? I mean, it probably isn't, but
I
it
don't
could be
know.
something else psychedelic, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do think they killed Jojen though, because if you read that chapter,
Mm-hmm.
the language George uses when Bran is looking up at the sky and stuff,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
says lightning slashed across the
Oh
sky
yeah.
Right.
and
Right.
cut across the sky, stuff like that.
This is the
So-
thing, though, that gets me about that is that Jojen saw his death, and I thought it was back in the neck. And that could be a false image given to him by.
Well, he's never wrong though.
That's what I'm saying.
That's the thing with Jojen.
He thought going home would be where he would die. Well, once he got back.
Exactly.
So
he'd be home for dinner. Sorry.
I mean, they could have cut him up and drug him back.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
Jojen, what's
too.
for dinner? Oh, damn! I didn't think about it that way.
So
But I just assume that we're led to believe he's dead, but he's maybe dying. I don't know. I would think Mira would be more off the hinges trying to find him if she thought.
Well, it just happened, I think.
Right.
When Bran was looking up at the sky, it's almost if you're watching a movie or a TV show, you get flashes from the sky and stuff, and then you see little flashes of Jojen getting stabbed to shit or something, right?
Right. Just to quickly the Time Prophet and say hello to Time Prophet, Tina.
Hey.
We had Culture Casino. There's a couple other people that just showed up. Excuse me. Thank you very much. Would tea make a good enema? You know what, buddy? You're gonna have to ask. You know who? Walton's Best. He might come out with a tea line. You never know. Takes me about 5 minutes to make my paste. Ooh,
that's
copy
quick.
and paste.
Shade of the evening turns to brown at midnight. All right. So, yeah.
Along that same topic too, Preston Jacobs had a theory that what Arya is experiencing may be similar, even though it's not a paste or anything that she's eating. It's the candle that, if you remember, changes scents.
Oh, right. She smells different things and all of a sudden starts smelling like home scents.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. So I wonder if
now did she drink something right before that?
I don't remember that part.
Because I know she drinks something there. I know she drinks something to make her go blind, something to take away her blindness. But I thought she also drank something else. And I'm wondering if she just thinks it's the candle and not what she's drinking.
Could be.
Did you notice how her, when she was blind, her warging got better?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Again, darkness. So right now we're reading about, Euron in darkness. Southeastern Kaju? As in like Kaju, like the
Kaiju.
like the monsters,
Probably.
right? That's a dope
Yeah,
name.
there's a monster
Yeah.
in the little.
Yeah,
That is a
it's
dope name.
Godzilla monster.
Yeah, that's a dope
cool.
name, dude. Southeastern Kaiju. I love that. Let's see what else we got here. That sounds like some paste that would get that's sporking. Yeah, Gagus is my new thing, I guess. Walton. That's Walton's fault though, but Gagus on, my friends. Gagus on. Not the Gagus element. Yeah, I guess we're bringing that back up. Hey,
you gotta wait till Steven gets here for that.
Yeah, we'll have to have Steven back on Saturday, hopefully, so we can.
Walton's coffee chat.
Yes,
when he calls you from the bathroom.
Yes, he did have a coffee and a live stream today. I thought that was hilarious. Euron's drink is made up of the same thing in Butters' special juice from South Park. I mean, Euron is a sadistic guy to be fair. So is Butters. Yeppers is the name. That's a dope name, dude.
Ever take those South Park personality tests?
No, I haven't.
Yeah,
I always get Butters.
Oh no. Do you really?
Yeah. Like 9 out of 10 times I'll get Butters.
I couldn't imagine. Brutal Morning Wood, I'm just impressed you're trying to behave. So let it go, man. I know this is right. These are my tamer. Okay, so for new people, once again, these are my tamer live streams. Wednesdays and Monday nights. Saturday is no holds barred, anything goes, no children in the room type of live streams. But my chat doesn't have to behave. So do what you guys feel that keeps you here. I'm happy. If Gagus is what you need, then Gagus is what you get, I guess, in the chats. All right, let's read on. I forgot what you were reading there for a second. All right. So we'll start here. Force more down his throat. That's it, priest. Gulp it down. The wine of the warlocks, sweeter than your sweet salt water, with more truth in it than all the gods of earth. I curse you, Aaron says. When the cup was empty, the liquor dripped from down his chin into his long black beard. If I had the tongue of every man who cursed me, I can make a cloak of them. Euron hawked and spat. The spittle struck his brother's cheek and hung there, blue, black, glistening. Euron flicked it off his face with a forefinger, then licked the finger clean. Your God will come for you. Your God will come for you tonight. Some God, at least. And when the Dampier slept, sagging in his chains, he heard the creak of a rusty hinge. Again, Yuri, he cried, there is no hinge here, no door, no Yuri. His brother Uragon was long dead, yet there he stood. One arm was black and swollen, stinking with maggots, but he was still Yuri, still a boy, no older than the day he died. You know what waits below the sea, brother? The drowned god, Euron said, the watery halls. Yuri shook his head. Worms await you, Euron. When he laughed, his face slouched off. Yeah, I'm a horrible reader. The priest saw that it was not Yuri, but Euron, the smiling eye hidden. He showed the world his blood eye now, dark and terrible. Clad head to heel in scale as dark as onyx, he sat upon a mound of blackened skulls as dwarfs capered around his feet and forest burned behind him. The bleeding star bestokes the end, he said to Euron. These are the last days when the world shall be broken and remade. A new god shall be born from the graves in charnel pits. Then Euron lifted a great horn to his lips and blew, and dragons and krakens and sphinx came at his command and bowed before him. Kneel, brother, the crow eyes commanded. I am your king. I am your god. Worship me, and I will raise you up to be my priest. Never the godless man may sit the sea stone chair. Why would I want that hard black rock, brother? Look again, see where I am seated. Aaron Dampier looked. The mound of skulls was gone. Now it was metal underneath the crow's eye. a great, tall, twisted seat of razor-sharp iron, barbs and blades and broken swords, all dripping with blood. We're going to stop there before I go on to that next part.
Okay.
So, yeah, I was gonna ask you that right off the rip, man. The world shall be broken and reborn. I thought you said something about that when you talked about Ragnarok.
Yeah, that's exactly what it's about. It's the end of gods and humanity, and then there's two children left standing after that. One of them is named Leaf, by the way.
Mm-hmm. That's
One
crazy.
One of the children of the forest is also named Leaf. Yeah, that's what it's about. A long winter, frost and fire giants attack the gods. The gods fight and they die, and they know they're gonna die. It is the end of the world, and I believe when Tyrion said when he was on the wall, he was pissing off the wall. He said, "I'm pissing off the end of the world," because that's exactly where it starts, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. That's crazy. Now, when you read this part, and in this vision, because I like to think of it as a vision. I don't think he's hallucinating. I don't know. What do you think, Jayne? Is it a vision or is it a hallucination?
No, I think it's a vision because remember, Euron tells him that he's going to see gods or have visions, and now he's having them. So I think that's what it actually is. It's something that Euron has done to him and is sort of messing with his head. Because he has him.
Yes.
Dwarves skirting around his feet, children of the forest.
Yeah, yeah. And he comes to him as their younger brother.
Right. At first, the younger brother he wants to see.
Right.
You know, and then it transforms into him. So he's a deceiver. He is a deceiver of who he is. He's coming to you with a face that's going to be friendly. That's going to be, you know, something you want to hear, a person you want to follow. And then it turns into somebody else, a demon, pretty much.
Right. Causing him to question his beliefs, because this is whatever this thing is, if it's Euron or if it's Euron's god or whatever is happening, it's telling a priest that there is no afterlife, there is no god, essentially.
Right.
And is attacking. I mean, he's been attacked emotionally, and in this moment, it's like attacking his very spirituality, just breaking him down bit by bit.
Yeah. Real quick, Southeastern Kaju. I'm guessing you're right there saying you haven't read one of his books yet. That's fine. Wednesday nights, we have a Game of Thrones reread book club, which we're only on book 1 right now. So you can actually watch those live streams where we talk about the summaries of those books and what their meaning are. And we try not to spoil ahead of that chapter or that book. So feel free to catch up with us and watch it with us on Wednesday. We'll be going over chapters 43 through 45. So it might be fun for you. I think that'll be a good time.
Euron in this chapter knows exactly what he's doing, because he's attacking and trying to break the very core of his brother, because his brother is a priest. That's his core, his religion, and that's what he's stabbing at. He's trying to break him completely.
And you have to wonder if he did this with all of the other religious figures on the boat. I'm sure this is the first time he's done it.
Right.
If he's collecting them, then he's taking all of them through this process.
Right. We haven't got there yet, but yes, you're absolutely warlocks, septas, you know, just different religions all over the place. And his own brother, which blows my mind. But the vision also talks about the Iron Throne. Now, how would Euron, you know, I don't get a feeling that Euron's probably ever seen the Iron Throne. Sounds like I know he was a little wilder in his youth, but he has not really left the Iron Islands area that I can remember. I might be wrong. I know Euron had a wild youth and then found God and became, you know, a priest. But I want to say, like, how would he know the vision of that chair being razor sharp? I mean, you know, you hear about it, but he pretty much, he tells you what it looks like in this vision. And that's what we believe, the plan is by Euron. So how would he know that if it is not a vision? Has to be a vision.
Yeah, I don't think he would. I mean, he could have heard about what it looks like, but he's describing it in such detail that you can almost feel it.
Mm-hmm.
How painful it is, and he's describing it as twisted and razor sharp, and the barbs and blades and broken swords dripping with blood.
Right.
Yeah, that's something he's being shown.
Right.
And I wonder, it almost makes me wonder why it would appear that way. I mean, is Euron, is his vision taking over this throne and killing people on it? I mean, like, which I wouldn't put past him, but
I wouldn't. I mean, right. First, he's what did he already said he's on like a thing of skulls. He's on a mound of skulls.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, there's going to be a lot of
murdering people in the throne room.
Yeah. I mean, what is it? Does he have to murder all these people to get to the throne?
Yeah. It's so symbolic. It would be a bloody throne. Yeah.
Right. Right. And Southeastern Kaiju, you're always welcome to hang out with us and learn while maybe you will like the book series, because if you're a Tolkien fan and you like the HBO series until the end, of course, thank God, you're going to love the book series. I mean, the book series is so much better than the show after season 4. That's my feeling. And I think a lot of the people that watch this channel, and I promise you will enjoy the books. Even get them on Audible. They're great. They sound great. So try that. I think you would really enjoy it. I love making new fans of this series because, like I've talked to Gary about from Nerdrotic and these guys about, like, the book series is just so much better. Even from day one. I mean, it's one of the best series from season 1 to 4 ever made, but that's because it's based on what George wrote.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll move on. Sorry, I only gingerly caress like buttons, not smashing them. You know what, man? Whatever way it moves you, just make sure you hit that. So this is a good part next. So now we're looking at the blades, broken swords, all dripping with blood. Impaled upon the longer spikes were the bodies of the gods. The maiden was there, the father, the mother, the warrior, and the crone, and the smith, even the stranger. They hung side by side with all the manner of queer foreign gods, the great shepherd and the black goat, the three-headed Trios, and the pale child Bacalon, the lord of light, and the butterfly god of Nath. Who's missing? Who's missing that he would have wrote if that god was on there? I brought it up last week. It blew my mind when I thought about it.
The old gods?
There's no weirwood tree. There's no reference to an old god. There is nothing there about the old gods impaled. So now you know that's who he's working with.
Dang.
Because he would have had, come on, the weirwood god has been there since day 1 of Westeros.
Yeah.
That would have been one of the first gods he would have
should have been a weeping weirwood tree.
Exactly. A bludgeoned weirwood tree. Broken. Exactly. So to me, that tells me he is working with those gods or trying to connect to those gods. And we've discussed that we think Euron has been, he was like Bloodraven's first choice for a brand figure, the three-eye, to replace him, but he didn't make it. What do you think, Stig?
I think nice catch.
Thank you. I mean, there's a lot coming from you. It does, because I know you always catch those things.
And who has been using the same kind of pasty shit that Euron is using?
Right.
Bloodraven.
Right. Now, if we think about it, Euron hasn't been north, so he can't get weirwood paste. I think he's found an alternate paste that does the same thing.
Well, he has been to Essos, right?
Yeah.
They have black weirwoods.
Right. Isn't that what the shade of the evening is? That comes from those black trees. The shade of the evening tree, which is black with blue leaves.
Right. So he could have if he wasn't working with them and he wanted to represent the old gods, he could have used any kind of weirwood tree.
Yeah. Well, they don't call them weirwood. So to me, though, they're the invert of the weirwood. So white with red, black with blue. They are what George does with like that mirroring of each other, but opposing colors.
But this is interesting, though. The old gods, magic is being used. This is just groundbreaking.
It is. I've never heard anybody talk about it like that. Right? Think it through. The old gods' form of visions is being used with a different tree that mirrors the weirwood tree.
Right.
Does the same thing as a weirwood tree. Tastes like what the paste of a weirwood tree would taste like.
Mm-hmm.
First bitter and sour, but then sweet.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't explain what the flavors remind him of, but everyone else who's done the weirwood has. So I think Danny, when she drinks the Shade of the Evening, she actually does tell us those different flavors.
Mm-hmm.
So it gives you the same power. So why isn't maybe the same God connected to it? Like, how is the weirwood roots? We say they go through the whole planet.
Right.
Why can't they connect to a different colored weirwood? They just don't realize it's a weirwood tree. They just call it by a different name.
Right. But it makes me wonder. Oh, go ahead, Stig.
Well, it could be that Euron had one of those same dreams that Bran had, with a three-eyed raven pecking at him and telling him stuff in his dreams, and what seems to be drug-induced dreams, because Euron uses that stuff all the time.
Real quick, sorry, Stig. Keep talking. I'll be back in 1 second. I know you guys you could talk about this for a minute. I just got to say goodnight.
Well, okay then.
Thank you, Stig.
Yeah, it's I'm thinking because every time Bran has those had those crow dreams, he was basically completely unconscious because he was in a coma.
Right.
So a drug-induced coma-like state might do the same thing.
It would, but it makes me wonder if, because of that experience, if we assume that Euron went through the same trials as Bran, just was unsuccessful, but maybe he was drugged similarly.
Or was he unsuccessful?
Or that's another point. I wonder if he believes that this is the only true God. And perhaps
he would if it's the only God he's seen.
Right. And he could be going to war with that God.
Yeah.
And that's why he's capturing all of these other representatives of the other gods.
Which, if we... there's a lot of indications that, Bloodraven is the Lord of Light, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's tricking people, He's obviously tricking Bran. He's probably doing the same to others. I mean, Melisandre and Euron, but he's doing it in different ways. He's playing on their, basically poking at their core, right? Because Euron's all about power and ego.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Bran is about wanting to be able to move again. So what does the Raven promise him? You won't walk, but you'll fly. And if you say that to a kid who's just lost his legs, that kid will want to believe that.
Mm.
Oh, I like this question. So, Rosa, I love that you asked this, because this is one of my biggest... I don't know if it's not my theory, but I believe it. Do you think the three-eyed crow is different to Bloodraven? Symbolically, the crow and raven mean different things. So the three-eyed crow, I believe, is something completely different. Bloodraven, when he speaks to Bran in his visions prior to Bran leaving Winterfell, he always comes as a weirwood tree. The crow is there too at the same time. I think the crow is something else, a different entity, a different person. I don't know what, but I do believe that the three-eyed crow was something different. It could even be a different part of controlling Bloodraven, and parts of Bloodraven still comes through as the weirwood tree, but it definitely is something different. A lot of people tell me
could it be one of the children of the forest?
It could be the old god themselves. When Bran meets Bloodraven for the first time, and he meets the I don't know if it's the Leaf that meets him, because the show sometimes confuses me, but the first time Bran meets the children of the forest before he meets Bloodraven, he says, "Is he the three-eyed
You're
crow?"
breaking up.
And they don't. Oh, am I? Sorry. Am I back?
Yeah.
Hello? Okay.
You're back.
So when he meets oh, good, thank God. When he meets the children of the forest for the first time, he asks them, is he the three-eyed crow? And they don't understand the question. When he meets Bloodraven for the first time, he says, "Are you the three-eyed crow?" And Bloodraven thinks about it for a second and relates what he's asking to being a brother of the Night's Watch. He's like, I was a crow once, meeting a brother of the Night's Watch. He's like, I've been known for many years. He never relates it to the vision of the three-eyed crow. Now, if you thought he sent him the three-eyed crow, wouldn't he say, "Yeah, I'm the three-eyed crow"?
You would think, but
You would think.
And I had always thought that they were the same, but that maybe the three-eyed crow is a position, like a title.
Okay.
That Bloodraven has inherited or taken on somehow, and that Bran was intended to replace him as that character or that figurehead.
I get that, but why does he not understand the question? That's the one thing that always sticks in my head when you read that part of Game of Thrones.
Mm-hmm.
I believe, it's in Game of Thrones, right? Where you read that and maybe it's the next book. I don't remember, but when he asks him that question, he doesn't understand the question, and he relates it to being a brother of the Night Watch. He doesn't say, like, "Yes, I was the three-eyed crow sending you these visions."
Well, maybe it's just more complex. It's the three-eyed crow is a simplistic description of chief of the weirwood net. I don't, it may not be something he can explain.
Or does he not know he comes as a three-eyed crow in the vision? I don't know. What were you going to say, Stig?
Maybe he didn't know the three-eyed raven was there with him when he spoke to Bran. Maybe the weirwood tree fellow didn't see it.
That's what I'm saying.
But I see another monster say that crow is Bran because of the time travel stuff. There's no time travel in the books. Not that
we have seen yet.
Yeah, no. And Bran is more represented by a wolf than a crow, I think.
A bound wolf, right?
Yeah. But it could be Bran, a part of Bran speaking to himself.
Right.
So another monster could be right. That's the first time a Swede would be right, but anyway.
Yeah, and Brutal Morningwood's right. I bet you Walton's messing with my internet every time because he's scared I'm gaining on him sub-wise. I think he's a little chills. The third eye usually symbolizes a seer or something. Yes, exactly. Oh. I mean, it's the third eye. I mean, that's literally what it's talking about. Very good catch. But I love that question, Rosa, because I could discuss that for a while. I never see anyone explain that to me, why George wrote it that way. Everyone says, "Oh no, that's just then," and then he admits to it later. I've never read where he says, "I'm the three-eyed raven," or crow, excuse me.
Yeah. And if George wrote it that way, it's absolutely
there's
deliberate.
A reason. Exactly. Yeah. We'll reread it another night, and we'll get you view.
This book 6 can't come soon enough.
Oh, I know, man.
Because a heck of a lot of theories will be confirmed or debunked in that book.
Right. You're absolutely right. I mean, I think every theory that we think about, except for the very end, will be dealt with in this. I think that's what's taking him so long. I really do. Like, there's so much technical stuff that needs to happen so many movements, so many people moving to different areas, so much. I mean, there's battles going on in Marine. How is Dany going to get back to Westeros in time? You know, there's just, they call it the Marinese Knot because it's like they're locked over there. Like, she needs to come in one chapter, destroy the whole army, pick up her crew and leave in another chapter, get to Westeros in another chapter, and then figure out what she's going to do with Aegon.
Right.
Or Aegon. You know what I mean? There's just way too much. That's why I still don't think he's ever going to do. I just think he has to do 3 books.
Well, I'm thinking the last book will be easier to do than book 6 because he will have finished off a bunch of storylines in book 6.
Yeah, true.
But, you know, I see people, you know, whining, and you know, even if George is going to write 3,000 pages for that book, and then they go, you know, how long does it take to just write 3,000 pages? It should be done in half a year, right? No, because it's because of what's on the pages as well,
and everything that came before, right? I mean, he set up so much to figure out. I went through a period of anger. I did. Very short period though, because I've always realized he's the artist. I don't want to rush an artist. It just sucks that we have to wait. I just have to accept that though. My fear, and I'm not going to put it back out there, Jayne, so don't have to worry, but you know what my fear is. That's my biggest fear.
I think he's going to finish.
Okay, he's going to finish the books. He's going to finish the books. We'll just keep putting that out there, Jayne.
You have to have faith.
All right, let's read on. So gods are all messed up and hung. And then they're swollen green, half devoured by crabs. The drowned god festers with the rest. Seawater still dripping from his hair. Then Euron Crow's-Eye laughed again, and the priest woke screaming in the bowels of the silence as piss ran down his leg. It was only a dream, a vision, born of foul black wine. The King's Moot was the last thing Danfir remembered clearly. As the captains lifted Euron onto their shoulders to hail him as their king, the priests had slipped off to find their brother Victorion. Euron's blasphemy will bring down the drowned god's wrath upon us, he warned, but Victorion insisted stubbornly that the god had raised their brother up and that God must cast him down. He will not act, the priest had realized then. It must be me. The King's Moot had chosen Euron's Crow's-Eye, but the King's Moot was made of men, and men were weak and foolish things too, easily swayed by gold and lies. I summoned them there to Nagon's bones in the Grey King's Hall. I called them all together to choose a righteous king, but in their drunken folly, they have sinned. It was for him to undo what they had done. The captains and the kings raised Euron up, but the common folk shall tear him down, he promised Victorion. I shall go to Great Wick, to Harlow, to Oakmont, to Pike itself. Every town and village shall my words be heard. No godless man shall sit the sea-stone chair. At departing from his brother, he sought solace in the sea. A few of his drowned men made to follow him, but Euron sent them off with a few sharp words. He wanted no company but God. Down where the longships have been beached along the stony strand, he found a black salt wave searching and foaming white where they broke upon a snarled rock half buried in the sand. The water had been icy cold and he waded in, yet Euron did not flinch from God's caress. Waves smashed against his chest, one after another, staggering him, but he pushed on, deeper and deeper, until the waves were breaking over his head. The taste of salt upon his lips was sweeter than any wine. Mingled with the distant roar of song and celebration coming up from the beach, he heard the faint creaks of longships settling on the strand. He heard the keening of the wind and now whines. He heard the pounding of the waves, the hammer of his god calling him to battle. And then the drowned god had come to him once more. his voice welling up from the depths of the sea. Euron, my good and faithful servant, you must tell the Ironborn that the Crow's Eye is no true king, that the sea stone chair the sea stone chair by rights belongs to not Victorian. Victorian had offered himself to the captains of the king, but they had spurned him. So I'm going to stop there.
Something struck me though.
Okay, please.
Crow's Eye.
Mm-hmm.
Euron is that three-eyed crow's third eye.
Oh my god!
Damn.
It's right there in front of you.
The Crow's Eye. It's the third eye. Do you think Euron is the the three-eyed crow in the visions?
Isn't
He's
he
tripping balls too?
Isn't he the third brother alive as well?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, right? Because it goes
Victorian?
Balon, Victorian, Crow's Eye, I believe.
Something like that. But,
something like that. But no matter what.
Crow's Eye. And what is he doing? He's feeding himself with drugs. And that's when the crow can contact people when they're completely out of it. So he's constantly eating that stuff and drinking that stuff, which should make it possible for that crow to see whatever he sees. And he only has one eye, which means, it's an eye. The guy's an eye.
He also revealed his true motivation, which is to make Euron a priest, his priest.
Yes.
A priest of his god. A priest of the old gods, if we're going there.
Right.
But why? Why would he be needed?
Well, yeah, that's true. I mean, he may want, because people listen to Euron, and he will, if he proclaims a god, he will devoutly follow that god. I don't know. That's all gods need a priest on earth to shout their doctrine, their dogma.
But the old gods have never used that, right? They always they just worship, the followers just worship the trees.
Right. Right. I mean, seers may have been, green seers maybe, but they weren't like priests. They were just people that had visions that people listened to. But by the time of this story, you found solace by the tree, and it's more like a confession booth, and to hear your prayers and your mistakes, your sins. So why would he need a priest?
To gather allies and armies.
I think that's a good way of putting it. Yeah.
Yeah. Basically, to convert people to his cause.
Yeah. No, I like that.
And it's also interesting what shook. Okay.
No, please. You guys are my guests. Please speak.
What shook Euron out of this vision was seeing his god dead. That was in the most sickening way possible.
Horrifically dead.
Yeah.
I mean, again, though, all forms of gods, but not the old gods. So
yeah.
And now we have a crow's eye being the third eye. There's so much symbolism with everything going on.
One more thing too, along those lines. We've seen certain types of people experience this, right? We've seen the Starks.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen the Targaryen, Dany. Right. And it was mentioned last time that there's a branch of what are those people called? I keep forgetting. Iron Islanders, who also have the ability to warg.
They say yes, they can go into like walruses and
yeah.
So
I wonder if the Greyjoys and the other Iron Islanders also have this ability. Is something that they've forgotten over time, but it's what makes them susceptible to this type of conditioning. And maybe that's why they're being targeted. Maybe that's why Euron was chosen for this particular path.
And maybe, yeah, you know what? That's a valid point. And him knowing that they have this ability, he is keeping his brother in the dark. Because what does the dark do? It always enhances, it brings out that ability. We see
And
that
so
with
with the
Bran.
pace.
Yeah. The pace with Bran, the darkness of the crypt with Bran, him being unconscious in a coma. We also see that with his
You mentioned
sister
earlier, Arya, when she went blind.
Yeah, Arya, thank you. Yep, when she was blind. And there's others too. I'm just blanking at the moment, but that's why I always find the black cells, people that are in the black cells, if that's going to help them. But that's a valid point. He's keeping them all in the dark. Maybe he's wondering if anybody's going to open up. Yeah.
Euron has also been between life and death, same as Bran, because when they baptized Euron, he was technically drowned.
Yep.
Yeah.
So who knows what happened in between there, right?
No, it's valid. Because the show touches on this, but the true, like, devout, it's really the devout followers of the drowned god do that. So he's definitely one of those people, and you have to be resuscitated. So for a moment, you are dead.
Yeah.
So
Fire white period.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm still thinking that the people who have these abilities are probably descendants of the children. And all of this goes back to some earlier war, maybe between them and the old gods.
Well, don't forget.
That's what we're doing with it.
Well, that's that's a valid point. And don't forget that the Starks got it into their bloodline by fighting the Warg King, but we're never told what the Warg King is. Could he have been a child of the forest? Could he have been a half child? You know what I mean? We're never told he's a person.
Right.
We're just told the Warg King.
Could he have been Cold Hands? Also a theory.
Yeah.
I still think Cold Hands is the last hero, though.
I like that one. And more that I think about it, I do like that. I mean, we're told he's old. He speaks the old tongue.
Yeah.
Like only giants really speak that now. There's very few people that could speak it. And he speaks to the animals. He has that ability that is gone from the first men. So he could be very old, very, very old. And like you said, the last hero easily could have been the first Lord Commander of the Night's Watch. So why wouldn't he have black on? There's so much that could be happening. V-Star, thank you for flying in. We appreciate it. Any support helps. Much appreciated. And everybody else, please hit that like button. Thank you to McKinney and the other mods. You guys are doing a great job. Right now, I'm working on watch time, people. I got my 1,000 thanks to Gary and everybody who joined in the last few days. I'm up to like 1,250. Please, watch time. Keep watching. Let it run.
Yeah.
Let it run. Just hit play all live streams. I don't know. If you have some time, go out, grocery shop, and just let it run. Thank you. I need like 900 hours. So let's try to get that in the next month so I can actually get monetized. I think I know what the hinge is, and I don't think I like it.
Yeah. You won't like it.
That's a valid point. You're not going to. It's so dirty.
So sick.
It's a dirty, rusty hinge. Let's read on. Okay, so not Victarion, not Asha. In her heart, Euron had always loved Asha best of all his brothers, Balon's children. The drowned god had blessed her with a warrior spirit and the wisdom of a king, but he had cursed her with a woman's body too. No woman had ever ruled the Iron Islands. She should never have made the claim. She should have spoken for Victarion, added her own strength to his. It was not too late. Euron had decided as he shivered in the sea, if Victarion took Asha for his wife, they could yet rule together, king and queen. In ancient days, each island had its salt king and rock king. Let the old ways return. Arion Damper had struggled back to the shore full of fierce resolve. He would bring down Euron not with a sword or axe, but with the power of his faith. Padding lightly across the stones, his hair plastered black and dank across his brow and cheeks. He had stopped for a moment to push it back out of his eyes. And that was where they took him. The mutes who had been watching him, waiting for him, stalking him through strand and spray. A hand clapped down over his mouth and something hard cracked against the back of his skull. The next time he had opened his eyes, the Dhampir found himself fettered in the darkness. Then came the fever and the taste of blood in his mouth, and he twisted in the chains deep in the bowels of the silence. A weaker man might have wept, but Euron Dhampir prayed. Waking, sleeping, even in his fever dreams, he prayed. My God is testing me. I must be strong. I must be true. So there again, he had fever dreams.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing that may open up the third eye. And he got sucker punched.
Interesting that George Martin also wrote a book called Fever Dream.
Right. Oh, right. Is that in the Thousand Worlds series?
No, it's just a horror book. It's good, really good.
Is it?
Yeah, it's a vampire story that takes place in the 1800s on a small riverboat.
Mm-hmm. I've actually loved vampire stuff, so I might have to check that out. Who's the scary guy? I know, right? It is your fault I broke 1,000. Thanks a lot, man. Now make me break the 1,000 more watch hours. We'll read on because we'll get this chapter done.
Well, before we move on,
yeah,
though,
go ahead, please.
We see him going through sort of what happened before, or mixing up in his head sort of how he got here, how Euron got his position. And it's all falling on him, but he's not wanting to accept it. Like, the people look to him to be king. He didn't want it.
Right.
They look to him to choose.
He didn't want to.
He didn't want to. So here you are. I mean, it's all his fault.
No, that's a valid, and he's not even accepting that it was his fault.
No.
He's blaming men.
Yeah.
When it was him who wanted to bring back the old ways. Because he, in his mind, all right, we'll bring back the old ways. We'll get a righteous king, yada, yada, yada. Men are weak. And Euron knows that. He gives gold away. He gives clothes. He gives land away. He doesn't want any of that. And his brother should have thought of that. But I don't even know if Euron was in sight when he decided to do this. Let's see. Once in the dungeon before this one, a woman brought him food in place of Euron's mute. A young, thin, buxom, and pretty. She dressed in the finery of a Greenland lady. In the lantern light, she was the loveliest thing Euron had ever seen. Woman, he said, I am a man of God. I command you to set me free. Oh, I could not do that, she said. I have food for you, porridge and honey. She sat beside him on a stool and spooned it into his mouth for him. What is this place? He asked between spoonfuls. My lord father's castle on Oakenshield, the Shield Islands, 1,000 leagues from home. And who are you, child? Phaela Flowers, Lord Hewitt's natural daughter. I am to be King Euron's salt wife. You and I will be kin then. Euron Dhampir raised his eyes to her. His scabbed lips were crusted with wet porridge. Woman, his chain clinked. When he moved, run. He will hurt you. He will kill you. She laughed. Silly, he won't. I'm his love. I'm his lady. He gives me gifts, so many gifts, silks and furs and jewels, rags and rocks, he calls them. The crow's eye puts no value in such things. That was one of the things that drew men to his service. Most captains kept their lion's share of the plunder, but Euron took almost nothing for himself. He gives me any gown I want, the girl was prattling happily. My sisters used to make me wait on them at table, but Euron made them serve the whole hall naked. Why should he do that except for my love? She put her hand on her belly and smoothed down the fabric of her gown. I'm going to give him sons, so many sons. He has sons. Baseborn boys and mongrels, Euron says. My sons will come before them. He has sworn by your own drowned god. Euron would have wept for tears of blood, he thought. You must bear a message to my brother, not Euron, but Victorian, the Lord Captain of the Iron Fleet. Do you know the man I mean? Fala sat back from him. Yes, she said, but I couldn't bring him any messages. He's gone. That was the cruelest blow of all. Gone where? East, she said, with all his ships. He too brings Dragon Queen to Westeros. I am to be Euron's salt wife, but he must have a rock wife too, a queen to rule all Westeros at his side. They say she is the most beautiful woman in the world, and she has dragons. The two of us will be as close as sisters. Aeron Demphier hardly heard her. Victorian is gone half a world away or dead. Surely the drowned god was testing him. This was a lesson for him. Put not your trust in men, only the faith that can save me now. So I like that. Euron, we hear that Euron gives away things. He uses the drowned god. Like he promised by the drowned god, he would make me his wife. He is vicious.
Yeah.
Do you think this is her though?
What do you mean?
Like, remember the last time he was saying Yuri?
Right. Yes, because reading the chapter, it ends up, yes, it's definitely her.
Okay.
Yeah.
She's dumb as shit.
Yes. Yes, she's a flower too. So they're in the Reach. That means she's a bastard. So bastard. So she's like, oh no, his other sons are mongrels and baseborn, but you're a bastard.
Yeah.
How are your children going to be above them? Like she's definitely not smart. She's
falling.
I
mean, those other kids could be born of low-born bastards, I guess.
I think she's falling for the lines he's given her.
Well, of course.
But
he looks crazy. I don't know how she's in love with him.
Right. I mean, though, when he has the patch on, he's dressing in fine clothes. He has, the happy eye showing the world, except for the blue lips. A man comes to your island. Your sisters are treating you like shit. You're serving your family. Now he's making them serve you naked, and she likes that. Yeah. So her life wasn't good. If she likes to see her sister, right? Her sister's being treated like shit. So this girl is just falling for it.
I need to get some salt wives.
I'm surprised you don't have many.
Right.
Isn't that a Viking thing too?
Right.
Yeah, I seem to have forgotten about that. I probably should get some. I'm going to give them new names too. I'm going to have 3 of them. One is going to be called Cook. The other one's going to be called Clean. The next one's going to be called Shag.
Can you rotate the names? Rotate them each week. They change names.
All who deny that are my foes.
He's the king of the north. All right, so we're going to move on. And I might jump a little bit. Because a lot of this is just, again, him reliving where he's been. Oh, no, this might be the good part. Okay, so that night...
It's hard to skip anything.
You really can't, because there you get everything you need. That night, when the tides came rushing back into the prison cell, he prayed that it might rise all night, enough to end his torment. I've been your true and liege servant, he prayed, twisting in his chains. Now snatch me from my brother's hand and take me down beneath the waves to be seated at your side. But no deliverance came, only the mutes to undo his chains and drag him roughly up a long stone stairs to where the silence floated on cold black sea. And a few days later, as her hull shuddered in the grips of a storm, the crow's eye came below again. Lantern in hand, this time his other hand held a dagger. Still praying, priest? Your God has forsaken you. You're wrong. It was me who taught you how to pray, little brother. Have you forgotten? I would visit your bedchamber at night when I had too much to drink. You shared a room with Euron. High up in the sea tower, I could hear you praying from outside the door. I always wondered, were you praying that I would choose you or that I would pass you by? Euron pressed the knife to Aeron's throat. Pray to me. Beg me to end your torment, and I will. Not even you would dare, said the Damphir. I'm your brother. No man is more accursed than the Kingslayer. And yet I wear a crown and you rot in chains. How is it that your drowned god allows that when I have killed 3 brothers? Euron could only gasp at him. 3? Or gape at him, excuse me. Well, if you count half-brothers, do you remember little Robin, wretched creature? Do you remember that big head of his, how soft it was? All he could do was mew and shit. He was my second. Harlan was my first. All I had to do was pinch his nose shut. The gray scale had turned his mouth to stone, so he could not cry out. But his eyes grew frantic as he died. They begged me. When the life went out of them, I went out and pissed into the sea, waiting for the god to strike me down. None did. Oh, and Balon was my third. But you knew that. I could not do the deed myself, but it was my hand that pushed him off the bridge. The crow's eye pressed the dagger in a little deeper, and Euron felt blood trickling down his neck. If your drowned god did not smite me for killing 3 brothers, why should he bestir himself for a 4th? Because you're a priest? He stepped back, sheathed his dagger. No, I will not kill you tonight. A holy man with holy blood? I may have need of the blood later. For now, you are condemned to live. So, a lot happening right there. I mean, we find out Euron used to come to his bedchamber when he was drunk and either choose him or his brother for some shenanigans.
It's called shagging.
Shagging his brother's ass. Yes.
He did.
He did. He did it a lot, it sounded like. And that's the rusty hinge. That is the creaking of a door. That is the sound that Euron just keeps hearing, tormenting him, is that he was molested, raped by his own brother.
That's crazy.
What do you guys think about this section we just read?
It's dark as hell, but it's also incredibly well written.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, George is impressive, man.
But
yeah, go ahead, please.
This is also why I don't think that was her, because she's in there feeding him honey or whatever. Porch, right?
Yeah.
And everything's, she's all sweet and everything's nice. And then she's telling him that Euron is gone.
Right.
Right? He's off on this mission. Get the girl, the dragon, the queen. And all this.
Victarion's gone.
Oh, okay. Maybe I got confused. Never mind.
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah.
Because I was thinking that was Euron that was gone. Okay, never mind.
No, remember Victarion in the last book sent to gather Dany with the horn.
Okay.
And that's another. Oh, no, he did hear the horn at the King's Moot. I was going to say he had a vision of that too. Yeah, I love.
No. He said, okay, so she said, okay, yeah. I thought she was talking about Euron being gone.
No, he asks, can you find me Victarion and give him a message? And he's like, no, Victarion's gone. Okay. Oh, the hinge can also be a belt buckle. I never thought of that.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry, Adam. Euron and Euron, I keep stumbling over their names. I'll do a little bit better on that. Thank you very much. I'm sorry about that. Now, Euron has been raped by his brothers, watched his other brother being raped. And for him to say, did you pray it was for you or that I would pass you over? That's vicious.
That is below
wrong.
There.
And then Euron. Now, the first 2 kills were mercy kills. If you really think about it, his one brother, grayscale, covering his mouth. I mean, he was going to die or turn mad anyways. His other brother was a simpleton. I guess that's kind of in their world, a mercy kill. What drove him to it, I wonder, though. I wonder what was the reason, just to see them die, or because they were the way they were, he felt they needed to die.
Yeah, I wonder if it was before or after he would have had this exposure to the three-eyed crow.
Right.
Or did he
Because
sacrifice them?
well, yeah, there's that too. I was thinking he was actually maybe nicer before this experience, but that could also be what happened.
Right. Right. Death pays for death. Death pays for life, excuse me. So he could have been doing something with that or trying to get Bloodraven back. Because I truly believe that was it. I mean, all we've read about him, can I fly? They told me I couldn't fly after I had my dreams. He definitely was visited by Bloodraven.
Wow. Sacrifices.
Right. And then we do see in somebody else's vision, was it Bran's, where a man with no face pushing Balon off the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, that says that he paid the faceless men to kill his brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, but now we know it's him.
Right. It was him.
Which means he can either do a glamour thing or he has been taught to do the faceless man stuff.
Maybe. I mean, he's definitely been in contact with him.
Which would tie the faceless man belief to the old gods. Maybe.
I mean, they do have the weirwood door, one half.
Right.
That is something that people have talked about, the faceless men being connected to the old gods. So that's something else we might be able to talk about. I don't know. Anything else with what I just read there, though? I mean, there's a lot going on there.
He's just sick and twisted.
He really is. And having a holy man with holy blood. So he has a purpose why he's keeping his brother alive. There's a purpose to the holy man, holy blood.
Another sacrifice.
Right. Because blood is what you need for magic. But now it's like, it's not king's magic. It's holy blood magic.
Wow.
So what really is the blood you need? Is it king's blood? Is it first man's blood? Is it Valerian blood, holy blood? Or is it just blood?
But I think that's what we're seeing that though. We're seeing the story sort of up the ante on what you need. Because up until this point, it has been king's blood this, king's blood that. And now Euron comes in challenging all the gods using the holy blood.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe it is more powerful.
Maybe it has to do with blood from someone who's completely broken. I don't know.
Yes.
I mean, he's breaking them all. You're right about that.
Stripping them of their faiths.
Yeah. I mean, this is what we read. I think this is the next part, actually. Did I just lose it? A holy man with holy blood. Euron thought when his brother had climbed back onto the deck, he mocks me and mocks the god. Kinslayer, blasphemer, demon in human skin. That night he prayed for his brother's death. It was in the second dungeon that the other holy men began to appear to share his torment. 3 wore the robes of Septa of the Greenlands. 1, the red raiment robe, we'll just say, of priests of the R'hllor. The last was hardly recognizable as a man. Both his hands had been burned down to the bone, and his face was charred and blackened. Horror, where 2 blind eyes moved silently above his cracked cheeks, dripping pus. He was dead within hours of being shackled to the wall, but the mutes left his body there to ripen for 3 days afterwards. Last were 2 warlocks of the east, with flesh as white as mushrooms and lips the purplish blue of a bad bruise, all so gaunt and starved. The only skin and bones remained. One had lost his legs. The mutes hung him from the rafter. Pre, he cries as he swung back and forth. Pre. So is it Pre or is he looking for Pre? Because Pre is the warlock that Danny dealt with.
Pirate Pre.
Yeah. So is it Pirate Pre? Is he one of them? I was wondering that, or is he's screaming for Pre because Pre was kind of the leader of the warlocks.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Another one they abandoned on the show.
Right, exactly. I mean, they chase after Danny in the books. So he could have easily intercepted them and took them all.
Yeah.
So, it could have been Pre. I can't remember what happened to the warlocks. I thought Victorian had something to do with that, but it could easily be Euron.
Maybe he has a pre-existing condition.
Perhaps that was the name of the demon that he worshipped. The drowned god protects me, the priest told himself. He is stronger than the false gods these others worship, stronger than their black sorcerers. The drowned god will set me free. In his saner moments, Euron questioned why the Crow's Eye was collecting priests, but he did not think that he would like the answer. Victarion was gone, and with him, hope. Euron drowned men, likely, though the Damphir was hiding on Old Wick. Euron's drowned men likely thought the Damphir was hiding on Old Wick or Great Wick or Pike, and wondered when he would emerge to speak against the godless king. Euron haunted his fever dreams. You're dead, Yuri, Euron thought. Sleep now, child, and trouble me no more. Soon I shall come to join you. Whenever Euron prayed, the legless warlock made queer noises, and his companions babbled wildly in his queer Eastern tongue, though whether they were cursing or pleading, the priest could not say. The septas made soft noises from time to time as well, but not in words that he could understand. Euron suspected their tongues had been cut out. When Euron came back, his hair was swept straight back from his brow, and his lips were so blue that they were almost black. He had put aside his driftwood crown, and in its place he wore an iron crown whose points were made from the teeth of shark. That which is dead cannot die, said Euron fiercely, for he who shall taste death once need never fear again. He was drowned, but he came forth stronger than before with steel and fire. Will you do the same, brother? Euron asked. I think not. I think if drowned you shall stay drowned. All gods are lies, but yours is laughable. A pale white thing in the likeness of a man, his limbs broken and swollen, and his hair flipped into the water with fish nibbling at his face. What fool would worship that? He's your god as well, insists the Damphir. And when you die, he will judge you harshly, Crow's Eye. You will spend eternity as a sea slug, crawling on your belly, eating shit. If you do not fear to kill your own blood, slit my throat and be done with me. I'm weary of your mad boasting. Kill my own little brother, blood of my blood, born of the loins of Quelon Greyjoy, and who would share my triumph? Victory is sweeter with loved ones by your side. Your victories are hollow. You cannot hold the shields. Why should I want to hold them? His brother's smiling eye glittered in the lantern light, blue and bold and full of malice. The shields have served my purpose. I took them with one hand and gave them away with the other. A great king is open-handed, brother. It is up to the new lords to hold them now. The glory of winning these rocks will be mine forever. When they are lost, the defeat will belong to the fools who so eagerly accepted my gifts. He moved closer. Our longships are raiding up the Mander and all along the coast, and even the Arbor and the Red Wine Straits. The old way, brother. Madness. Release me, Euron Damphir commanded in the sternest voice, or risk the wrath of God. Euron produced a carved stone bottle and wine cup. You have a thirst look about you, he said as he poured. You need a drink, a taste of evening shade. No, Euron turned his face away. No, I said, and I said yes. Euron pulled his head back by the hair and forced the vile liquid into his mouth again. Though Euron clapped his mouth shut, twisting his head from side to side, he fought as best he could, but in the end, he had to choke or swallow. So here we learn, so much. Please talk, please, because my throat's killing me.
It's just insane, this conversation that they're having, because now he's further attacking this guy's faith in his concept of this particular god. He's attacking him now based on what he looks like.
Right.
It wasn't just his existence, but now, oh, he's pathetic. Look at him. Looks like a human, and that's an interesting point too. But that we see here that Euron is still, despite all of these efforts, he's holding to his faith.
Right.
And he's trying to get across to Euron that, look, this is your god too. I don't know what craziness you're going on about, but just kill me and get it over with if that's what you want to do. But I still believe. I still have faith. I still know who I am, even if you don't.
So that stuff he's feeding him, though, is almost like conversion. He's converting him with that stuff because he knows if Euron just starts believing him a little bit, he'll open himself up to a three-eyed crow, maybe.
I just real quick, these two last comments I love. He's keeping him to blow the magical horn, not in the Gagus way, of course. It might be Victorian though. So using priests to blow the magical horn is kind of an interesting idea.
Or a priest that has died before.
Right. He also put, Sheev. Hey, Sheev. I think Euron is using Danfir as an audience for his deeds. That too. He loves torturing his brother and having him see what he has done. He explains to him. What I love about this part too is that you see the gameplay, the intellect of Euron. I mean, he conquers the Shield Islands. He hands them to some of the men with him, making them lords of the Shield Islands. And then he walks away knowing that they can't hold the Shield Islands. So he wins them. That victory will always be known as Euron's great victory. And then these fools gave him up. I mean, genius.
And we do see him, switching between all these different reasons for why Euron is here in the first place. At first it's politics, and then it gets into religion. I need you to be my priest. And now it's just companionship. Why, I want you with me on this journey. I wonder if he even knows why he needs him, or if he's just following this path that he's been put on.
Oh, like something told him.
Right.
Yeah, like it's been told, you need your brother or you will fail.
Right.
Or not even just your brother. I want you to grab all these different gods, or these different priests, you know what I mean? Like that would be interesting. Hail Gary in the chat. Let me just say it was your rendition of reading this that gave me the idea to do this. So thank you. I'm definitely not doing as good of a job as you did, but thank you very much. How about his torturers? So wait a minute, start again. Tortures them to test their faith so the blood magic will work. Faithless won't draw the Krakens. Wow. That is valid. Okay. So yeah.
Yep. I think you make a superb point.
Yes.
Wow.
That is fantastic. You torture them to see if they will hold on to their faith or give it up. And if they hold on to their faith, that magic now has been infused in their blood. You know what I mean? That is, damn. Good one, Gary.
That's what I said just moments ago. It's what?
Well, no, but I think you put it better. I don't even understand what you meant by it, but that is valid then, Stig.
I didn't get what you were saying, Stig.
I didn't get what you were saying there.
It was conversion.
Oh, I thought you meant, I thought you meant conversion, like he's turning him into his priest.
Right. That's
all. No. He's converting him away from his faith to make him susceptible to the whatever he's doing.
Oh no, but see what Gary's saying is a little different. What Gary's saying is he's not challenging them to give up their faith. What he's seeing is if they will keep their faith.
Right.
If they keep their faith, then it makes their blood even stronger in that belief.
Right.
Oh my God.
Yeah. But you see how you twat. Do you see how that could be a more powerful,
Yes.
like
Yes.
blood. Wow, that's interesting. I never would have thought of
That
that.
is freaking crazy. So we found one, and it was his brother all along.
It's his brother all along, because we don't know what, what are the warlocks saying? Are they going to stick to their beliefs or, just fail? You know what I mean? That's interesting. Shit.
That's crazy.
So now right there, if that is true, so you see the intellect.
I can buy that. I
could buy that too. I could definitely buy that. And then when he does a blood magic sacrifice, that blood is just powerful. Even if what someone said before, which I don't think will happen, but it could, if he uses them to blow the horn, their faith will keep them alive. Or if they die, he doesn't care.
Check out Toxic Manflu's statement.
Or if he does a hell of a sacrifice, he could sacrifice one from each religion, really.
Right. Well, I think I always assumed that was his plan. He has one from every religion that he's going to sacrifice to. He's going to soak that ocean. It's going to be a blood ocean. I mean, I think we've seen visions like that from other people, seeing this blood ocean to draw the Kraken from the depths. So this will just infuse that blood with more power. This is very similar to how they created all the people with special powers in Dune. Humans tortured until they manifest powers. And George is a big fan of that world.
That's crazy.
So that's really cool. Matt G, what is up, brother? I haven't seen you in here in a while. Thank you for stopping in. It's an honor. I love Matt G. Brother in the chat for a long time. That is awesome. I like that. Anything else from that section I just read?
No, my mind is sufficiently and thoroughly blown at this point.
I know we're about to get a vision too, so that's a very good. That's one of my favorite parts of this one. Euron is way smarter than we believe him to be.
This dude's crazy.
He's not crazy. He's crazy, but he's freaking smart.
He has a plan, or somebody has a plan that they're using him for.
Right.
And it's coming together.
Yeah. He's like an R-rated Bond villain.
Yes.
He's completely power mad, but he is intelligent.
And it's beyond power, though. It's not just power. It's like this guy plans to be a god or raise a god.
Yes. That's what I consider which one. Because we'll read that part in here. It's almost like he's doing it for somebody else.
Right.
I always thought he was trying to become that god, but I think he's trying to do it to raise somebody else to be, like the arm of that god. And I think he wants to also control Krakens. So when the red wine fleet comes after him, they're just destroyed by Krakens. I also think that's a big part of it, because the red wine fleet right now is the only fleet. The Lannisters don't have a fleet that was destroyed in the Greyjoy Rebellion. So the red wine fleet is the most powerful fleet in Westeros. So if he can destroy that, he owns the coastline of all of Westeros.
That would be crazy.
Because remember, Cersei had somebody building ships, and then when she made the whatever, the Lord of Ships, what do they call him on the council? Master of Ships. He stole the ships and became a pirate. Yeah. I love that. She's such a moron. Yeah. But yeah, that's a really good one. Matt G, thank you again for stopping in. I think Matt G said something else. Yeah, I gave him a wrench, Matt G, just now. I never even thought of it. Gary, you don't really need a wrench, but I gave you one. We're at 42 likes, so please make sure you like it. Let's try to hit 50. Tell you YouTube what's up. All right, we are moving on. And I said yes. Okay, so he pulled his head back, choked him down. The dreams were even worse the second time. He saw the long ships of the Iron Island adrift and burning on a boiling blood-red sea. He saw his brother on the Iron Throne again, but Euron was no longer a human. He seemed more squid than a man, a monster fathered by a kraken of the deep. His face a mass of withering, whatever. There are tentacles on his face. Unlike Stephen Walton with testicles on his face. Beside him stood a shadow in woman's form, long and tall and terrible, her hands alive with a pale white fire. Dwarves capered for their amusement, male and female, naked and misshaped, locked in carnal embrace, biting and tearing at each other as Euron and his mate laughed and laughed and laughed. Euron dreamed of drowning too, not of the bliss that would surely follow down in the drowned god's watery hall, but of the terror that even the faithful feel as the water fill their mouths and nose and lungs, and they cannot draw a breath. 3 times the Damphir woke, and 3 times it proved no true waking, but only another chapter in a dream. But at last there came a day when the door of the dungeon swung open, and a mute came splashing through with no food in his hand. Instead, he had a ring of keys in one hand and a lantern in the other. The light was too bright to look upon, and Euron was afraid of what it meant, bright and terrible. Something has changed. Something has happened. So before we move on right there, that vision. Okay, so first of all, he sees him transforming into half man, half kraken. So is that vision what the plan is?
I think it is. Or it may represent what Euron actually is. Maybe he's becoming possessed.
Mm-hmm.
And we're seeing behind the outer sort of surface,
right,
to what he actually is, or what the thing is that's using him. And another point, when he describes this woman, right, a shadow in a woman's form, long and tall and terrible, her hands alive with pale white fire.
Mm-hmm.
No, go ahead. What was your
No. I want to hear what you have to say.
Okay.
I was going to ask you both what you thought that meant.
So I don't think we can trust his visions entirely.
Okay. I'll take that.
And if we accept that, and you take the dwarves as children of the forest, I almost wonder if this figure is actually a werewood tree.
Huh. So I took the dwarves.
I can make it make sense in my head, but that's the connection that I'm making.
Give it out to me, because I want to understand why.
Okay, so it's describing a form long and tall, right? Like a tree. Mm-hmm. And terrible, which is how their faces have been described. The faces carved into the trees. Absolutely. And you have her hands alive with pale white fire. I wonder if that's he's merging together the whiteness of the tree and the redness of the leaves.
Okay. See, I was thinking more of like the Night's Queen.
Or that makes a lot more sense.
Well, no, but that's about look, anything
I like that better.
But it could be the Night's Queen. Yeah. Or it could be Dany, and the 2 dwarves are Penny and Tyrion. So that was the first thing I thought, right off the rip. You know, going with what Stig says, Dany's a fire white. Well, then this makes way sense, because she's a pale, long but terrible figure with fire in her hands. And then you got 2 little people, if they're not children, who's going towards Dany, but Penny and Tyrion. But then I also went to what you're saying. I'm thinking, is this pale figure like the Night's Queen, where she is actually not maybe another, but the god he's trying to seduce or impress, or the god he wants to, that has come to him, and he wants to like make his own bride. And that's why he is now like part kraken, because she has like transformed him by this blood magic he's going to do with the priests and all the, faithful people. That's what he is going to become. He's going to raise Krakens, but he's also going to become something else.
That would be the god he would become to be fit enough to be her.
Could it be Stoneheart though? Lady Stoneheart? Probably
I don't know.
not.
No, maybe. I mean, it could be anything. That's the crazy thing. If you can go with why you're saying that, you could probably make me believe it.
Yeah, it's I think the Night King's wife, you know, or a weirwood tree. I don't know.
I like the weirwood tree.
It could be a lot of things, but it's
also a vision.
Awesome. It's awesome though.
It is also
like
writing,
it's
right?
To the old gods, like all of these theories do go north, right?
This is your first hearing this, right, Stig? This is the first time you heard this, right?
Yeah.
Tell me that is an amazing writing right there.
It is. And you know, the best writers, even movie makers, tell stories that make you think, right? Forces you to think. And that is exactly what George Martin is doing, isn't it?
Yes. And I love how it makes us all think different things. You know, you thought Lady Stoneheart. I thought the Night's Queen. You thought the actual god of the tree. Like you thought of a weirwood tree. Gary's talking blood that I never would have thought of. You know what I mean? Like we're all thinking different things. And that's what George does to us. That's why we have so many beautiful theories in this world of A Song of Ice and Fire.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to finish the books. He's going to finish the books. I'm putting it in the ether. Put it in the ether.
The first thing I thought of though was weirwood. Then Jayne mentioned it, so I just figured add to it.
So right there,
with George, the way he writes it, more often than not, it has more than one possibility, way more than one.
Right.
Yeah. And it's also possible that the weirwoods are made to look like this person.
Oh my God. I was about to say, not that the weirwoods, but also why wouldn't the vision send something he wanted to see?
Oh, that too.
You know, like in a form he would desire. Bran, it was a weirwood tree and a three-eyed crow.
Right.
Which I still think are separate beings. But who's to say one of those came to Euron as a beautiful weirwood woman or other woman?
Yeah.
To bring on the long night.
Wow.
Once again, this is a non-scripted show. That's why we freeze sometimes, because all our brains are going. It's amazing.
That is, yeah.
This is my favorite chapter, I think, by far. I'm trying to think of another, like, yes, the Red Wedding was an awesome chapter. Yes, John's death. Yes, like certain other, but this chapter just has so much, like Dany's vision. First of all, another thing, Dany's vision's pretty spot on, correct?
Mm-hmm.
We're using the same drug. Now, again, I feel like this is the mirror, but opposing of the weirwood. Shade of the evening, you know, the tree is black with blue leaves, not white with red leaves. The paste is dark and thick and bluish black, while the other paste is white with red blood going through it. They are the opposite sides of the world being connected somehow. And again, the roots go everywhere. What's to say they aren't, like you almost said, a weirwood by a different name?
Right.
Giving people the visions they need to see in their part of the world to control the world. There's so much shit going through my head right now. Like I'm jumping around, but
this is so crazy.
Yeah. There might
be like the best chapter ever.
It really is. It's so awesome.
I want to read the rest of it.
I know. I'm going. Hold on. Aaron's dreams of drowning too. Okay. We passed that. Bring them, said a half familiar voice from the hapless gloom. Be quick about it. You know how he gets. Oh, I do. I have known since I was a boy. One septon made a frightened noise as the mute undid his chains. Isn't that Septon? Oh, yeah, that's guy, I guess. Half-choked sound that might have been some attempt at speech. The legless warlock stared down at the black water. His lips moved silently in prayer. When the mute came for Euron, he tried to struggle, but the strength had gone from his limbs, and one blow was all it took to quiet him. His wrists were unshackled, then the other. Free, he told himself. I'm free. But when he tried to take a step, his weakened legs folded under him. Not one of the prisoners was fit enough to walk. In the end, the mutes had to summon more of their kind. Two of them grasped by Euron by his arms and dragged him up a spiral stair. His feet banged off the steps as they ascended, sending the stabbing pain up his legs. He bit his lip to keep from crying out. The priest could hear the warlocks just behind him. The Septons brought up the rear, sobbing and gasping. With every turn of the stairs, the steps grew brighter until finally the window appeared in the left-hand wall. It was only a slit in the stone, but a bare hand breathed across. But that was wide enough to emit a shaft of sunlight so golden, the Dampier thought, so beautiful. When they pulled him up the steps through the light, he felt its warmth upon his face, and tears rolled down his cheeks. The sea, I could smell the sea. The drowned god has not abandoned me. The sea will make me whole again. That which is dead can never die, but rise again harder and stronger. Take me to the water, he commanded, as if he were still back on the Iron Islands, surrounded by his drowned men. But the mutes were his brother's creatures, and they paid him no heed. They dragged him up more steps, down a torture-lit gallery, and into the bleak stone hall where a dozen bodies were hanging from the rafters, turning and swaying. A dozen of Euron's captains were gathered in the hall, drinking wine beneath the corpses. Left-hand Lucas Cod sat in the place of honor, wearing a heavy silk tapestry as cloak. Beside him was the Red Oarsman, and further down, pinch-faced John Muir, Stonehand, and Rogan Saltbeard. Who are these dead? Euron commanded. His tongue was so thick the words came out in a rusty whisper, faint as a mouse breaking wind. The lord that held this castle with his kin, the voice belonged to Torwood Browntooth, one of his brother's captains, a creature near as vile as the crow's eye himself. Pigs, said another vile creature, the one they called the Red Oarsman. This was their isle, a rock just off the harbor. They dared oink their threats at us. Redwine, oink. Hightower, oink. Tyrell, oink, oink, oink. So we set them squealing down to hell. The arbor. Not since the drowned god had blessed him with the second life had Euron Dampier ventured so far from the Iron Islands. This is not my place. I do not belong here. I should be with my drowned men, preaching against the crow's eye. Have your gods been good to you in the dark? Asked left-hand Lucas Cod. One of the warlocks snarled some answer in his ugly eastern tongue. I curse you all, Euron said. Your curses have no power here, priest, said left-hand Lucas Cod. The crow's eye has fed your drowned god well, and he has grown fat with sacrifice. Words are wind, but blood is power. We have given thousands to the sea, and he has given us victories. Count yourself blessed, Dampier, said Stonehand. We are going back to the sea. The red wine fleet creeps towards us. The winds have been against them rounding Dorne. But they're finally near enough to have emboldened the old women in Old Town. So now Leighton Hightower's son moves down the whispered sounds in hopes of catching us in the rear. You know what it's like to be caught in the rear, don't you? Said the Red Oarsman, laughing. Fucked up.
They're so wrong for that.
That's so wrong that his brother told everybody. Take them to the ships, Torwood Browntooth commanded. All right, I got to take a break on that. Let me see how much more we have here. We might have oh no, that's not that much more. Okay. I'm just going to keep reading till I finish. You guys with me? Chat with me? Let's do this.
Sounds great.
And so Euron Dampier returned to the Salt Sea. A dozen long ships were drawn up at the wharf below the castle, and twice as many beached along the strand. Familiar banners streamed from their masts. The Greyjoy Kraken, the Blood Moon of Wench, the war horn of the good brothers, but from their sterns flew a flag the priests had never seen before, a red eye with a black pupil beneath, and an iron crown supported by 2 crows. Beyond them, a host of merchant ships floating in a tranquil turquoise sea, cogs, carracks, fishing boats, even a great cog, a swollen sow of a ship and a big as the Leviathan. Prizes of war, the Dampier knew. Euron's crow's eye stood upon a deck of silence, clad in a suit of black scale armor like nothing Euron had ever seen before. Dark as smoke it was, but Euron wore it as easily as if he was the thinnest silk. The scales were etched in red gold and gleamed and shimmered when they moved. Patterns could be seen with the metal. Whorls and glyphs and acorns, symbols folded into the steel. Valyrian steel, the Dampier knew. His armor is Valyrian steel. In all the 7 kingdoms, no man owns a suit of Valyrian steel. Such things have been known 400 years ago, in the days before the Doom, but even then, they would have cost a kingdom. Euron did not lie. He had been to Valyria. No wonder he was mad. Your Grace, said Torwood Browntooth, I have the priests. What do you want me to do with them? Bind them to the prows, Euron commanded. My brother on the silence, take one for yourselves. Let them dice for the others on the ships. Let them dice for the others on the ships. Okay. Mm-hmm. Let them feel the spray, the kiss of the drowned god, wet and salty. This time the mutes did not drag him below. Instead, they lashed him to the prow of the silence beside her figurehead, a naked maiden, slim and strong with outstretched arms and windblown hair, but no mouth below her nose. They bound Aaron Dampier tight with the strips of leather that would shrink when wet, clad only in his beard and breechclout. The crow's eye spoke a command. A black sail was raised, lines were cast, and the silence backed away from the shore to the slow beat of the oarsman drum, her oars rising and dipping and rising again, churning the water. Above them, the castles were burning, flames licking from the open windows. When they were well out to sea, Euron returned to him. Brother, he said, you look forlorn. I have a gift for you. He beckoned, and 2 of his bastard sons dragged the woman forward, bound her to the prow on the other side of the figurehead, naked as the mouthless maiden, her smooth belly just beginning to swell with the child she was carrying, her cheeks red with tears. She did not struggle as the boys tightened her bonds. Her hair hung down in front of her face, but Euron knew her all the same. Phala Flowers, he called. Have courage, girl. All this will be over soon, and we'll feast together in the drowned god's watery halls. The girl raised her head, but made no answer. She has no tongue to answer with. Dampier knew. He licked his lip and tasted salt. The freaking end.
I had forgotten about the ending. Wow.
That dumb girl. Oh.
That is most likely the end of the chapter, though. So the exit.
It is. Yeah. It's the end of the chapter. It's, first of all, a lot of pig references, sows and oinks, and you know, a lot of like fat stock, you know, like ready for the slaughter.
Yeah.
A lot of that imagery at the end. It's just, you know, in the islands, you know, that now they're off the arbor, so they just burned those castles. But the girl, he warned her.
It's interesting you have 3 sacrifices again.
So why do you say 3? I'm missing.
The baby.
Oh, shit. Yeah, the baby, him and her. And there might be others on there, but 3 right up front. Again, that number 3 comes up.
on the main ship.
Yeah. No,
A lot of
the number
3s and 7s in George's world.
the number 3 is a big time number in Norse mythology too.
Right. You have told us that. Nerd Cookies, hello.
Hey there.
7 isn't though.
No, 7 is more of a holy Catholic number. Christian. The number 7 is holy, while 6 is not. Like 777 is a God number, 666 is a devil number. So I always wondered why he picked, that's why he probably picked the 7 to represent the kind of Catholic faith of this world.
Yeah.
We have some great people in the chat.
And everything old gods is 3. 3 eyes, 3 sacrifices, all that stuff.
Toby Moss, welcome to the chat. The Warlocks have a blue heart. I bet they're a form of ice magic. That's again. Okay, so they do have a blue heart before it gets, the place gets destroyed by the dragon. Again, ice magic.
Yeah.
Shade of the evening, ice magic. The tree is
a lot of old god symbolism.
Exactly. Euron is working with the old gods. It has to be.
The Northerners have always believed these were honorable things.
Hell no. They are.
And I'm
working.
House Stark. I'm Team Stark. So this is earth shattering.
Right. I'm sorry it keeps buffering my internet by. I want to say hi to Tommy too. Michael, I understand shitty internet. Don't worry about that, buddy. And I didn't say hello to Rennie. Oh, hey, Stephen Walton shows up finally. Thank you. You know who showed up before you? Nerd Cookies, Nerdrotic, Culture Casino. But thanks for showing up. Yeah, I love you, buddy. This is okay. So, Stig, first time hearing this chapter. Where does it rank?
10 out of 10. Excellent, superb writing. And if you think about it, this is probably 2 or 3 pages of the book. And imagine the times you have to spend to write it that well.
And it's probably the first so-called Euron chapter. So what's going to happen next? Like, that's all I keep thinking when I read this chapter. This chapter gets me. I'm like a little kid when I read this chapter.
Writing in a quality like this, with all the foreshadowing, all the prophecy stuff, everything, it takes time.
Yeah, we have to understand that, right?
This is like a week of work at least. You know?
Right. I like what I do like with Adam. I feel the same way though. I'm willing to bet it took George a full year to write this one chapter.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
He probably rewrote this 1,000 times, man. And I'm like, I side with Gary. Like, I'm angry. I am angry, but the anger goes away when I think about how powerful this writing is. He's had 9 years though. 9 years in a freaking show that screwed them all up.
TV show screwed up everything.
It really did. It really did. Do you think 2021? Does anybody really think 2021?
Yeah.
Yes.
I do.
Yes.
Okay.
2021.
I'll keep my hopes for it.
Your focus determines your reality.
That's right.
Yeah, it really does. This has been fun though. This was a long one.
I'm so tempted to have people like add it to prayer lists. Pull a Euron and just get all of the different religions on board.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
In the meantime, instead of just waiting for book 6, read other books.
That's true.
So
there are so many. I'm just starting The Sandman, or listen like I'm going to The Sandman by Neil Gaiman. I'm about to listen to that. I need one more like for 50. If anybody just jumped on, Walton, anybody, please hit that like button. I hope the new people in the chat enjoyed our little stream here. Thank you to Gary from Nerdrotic for stopping in and saying hello. Thank you, Nerd Cookies. Thank you, Stephen Walton. Everybody in the chat. I'm not ending it right now, but I just want to make sure I say thank you to everybody in the chat. This has been a lot of fun tonight. We are going to be doing another chapter next week. I'm going to hopefully give you guys one of the chapters the next 2 weeks.
Sure.
I don't know if Stig will be here, but if Jayne, you want to pick one of these chapters, you could do any. Me. Okay. All right. I'm thinking a Lane chapter or Ariana chapter.
Assign me one.
All right. Ariana 1.
Okay.
I like to keep Mercy for a little farther down because that's a great chapter too. The Aria chapter. But yeah, you want to do Elaine, Ariana 1. I think that would be a good one.
Sure.
Good. Anybody have any closing remarks on this one? 51 likes. Thank you, guys.
Oh, I hate Euron.
He's so awesomely bad.
I know.
He's so awesome.
I also like him. He's terrible.
What did Dole Life is saying.
What's so crazy is that he's probably going to be successful in whatever it is he's trying to do. Mm-hmm. It's going to work.
Right.
Yeah, well, the part of the stuff that Aaron sees is the Iron Throne, and I do think Euron will be one of them that's sitting on the Iron Throne before the end, because
he said multiple, right?
Yeah, because George has said that as there's a few more that will sit on the throne before the end. So imagine what happens if Euron takes it and Tommen is on it. Tommen's kittens are dead.
Oh God.
Oh, Sir Pounce. Poor Sir Pounce.
Yeah. That's probably the least worst thing to happen.
Oh yeah, we didn't even talk about the armor.
Oh yeah, the scales.
I mean, it's Valyrian armor. Thank you, Tobias. I can't believe we forgot about the armor. That armor is sick. Sick. Oh my God. Like, think about it. It's black and red. So that's Targaryen.
Right. Yes.
I mean, it's not just any Valyrian.
It's shaped like scales, like dragon scales.
Right. So it's not just any Valyrian. That's Targaryen colors.
Right.
And it has just ruins and just wards built into it.
Yeah.
Now, don't forget, Jon dreamt of himself in a black, shiny suit of armor, holding a fiery sword.
Right.
At some point,
was that in the same dream where he killed his brother?
Yes.
Hint, Surtur the Black. Remember when I said that?
Yes.
Jon is Surtur the Black. Flaming sword. Black.
Yep. It's insane, right?
That's crazy.
We got so much to talk about. There's so much like that could be remembered.
So many layers.
Next week, if we think of anything about this chapter, we'll talk about that first, and then we'll go on into the Ariana chapter.
Okay.
I do enjoy reading it. Maybe we'll talk about that backstage. I think reading it was fantastic though.
I think so too.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing. So we're gonna call it a night, everybody. If Walton's still in the chat, jump backstage real quick, and the link is in our Winds of Winter chat. I just want to talk to you for a minute. Me lady, please.
Oh,
give him your spiel.
Hold on a second.
Yeah, get it going.
Okay. Yo. Hey guys, you can find me on YouTube where I post weekly movie and television reviews every Sunday at 6 Central, as well as some occasional pop culture news and commentary. You can also find me on Twitter and Instagram at Jayne Theory.
Thank you, Jayne.
Thank you.
Toba Moss, the only queen he wants is a goddess queen.
Yeah.
I'm thinking Knight's queen. That's the only thing he wants. And if it is a queen, it's not a real queen.
And he'll kill her too.
Yeah, it's just to make him the god he wants to be. Adam, first time. Thank you for saying that. I'm really Snatchface the Fool. Haven't seen you in a while. Thank you. And thank you, Jayne, as always. Stig, Nerdrotic or Nerd Cookies. Sorry, very nerdy. Thank you.
Bye, Nerd Cookies.
Stig, you want to give a goodbye to everybody?
Like plug my channel and shit?
Yeah.
Plug that channel
Yeah,
here.
yeah, tiny channel, some nonsense on it, and some retro stuff. But go sub to Christy and get her watch hours because she's close to
Yes.
being monetized, and
She's very close.
She deserves money. Okay.
Yep.
Mhm.
So
Night,
she can
Tina.
buy shit.
Yeah.
That's it, really. You know.
Yeah. 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 You got to say it. Night's dark, full of terror. Night. I like that.
Okay, I'll say that.
Yeah, please say it.
The night is dark and full of terror.
It has a new meaning though. A night is dark, dark armor, and full of terror.
Yeah.
It's Euron.
Wow.
Think about it. Yep. Have we all done a summer hall one yet?
By myself.
We've talked about summer hall, but we've never done it all. So right now we're doing the Winds of Winter sample chapters. This was the first time we did it. And when we're done with those, or maybe if we want to take a break, maybe we'll throw a summer hall in there. That might be fun. So we might do like 2 weeks of the chapters, throw a history chapter, do 2 weeks of a chapter.
Mm-hmm.
Also, for all the new streamers out there with me, we have every Wednesday night we do a book club, Game of Thrones reread. We are on chapter 43 through 45 of a Game of Thrones. So we're just starting, and it is a spoiler-free reread. So we have some people that have never read, never saw the show. So we decided, what the hell, we're going to read it like we're reading it for the first time. And let me tell you, we have found stuff that I never noticed the 3 times I've read it. So please join us. And I'm really grateful. This has been we've had a bunch of people in here, and this has been a really fun night. I hope to see you all on Wednesday. And remember, freedom is not free. Everyone have a great night, and thank you once again. Good night, everybody.